It's a very serious issue, and it's an interesting one considering we have the opposition critic here and the Minister of Education next door. So I always like watching those two spar. But what the Green Party is proposing, and I think it's brilliant, is to merge the Catholic and public school system, which would result in a saving of 1.2 to 1.6 billion every year. That's a whole gas plant that you could cancel every year. But what we would be doing is investing that back into education to help make it, to help kids have a better education, and that would be one way to solve any sort of disruption, because a lot of that does essentially come down to funding. It also helps to prevent rural schools from closing and all of those other issues that a lot of people and families are very concerned about.
Was we have to do a better job of protecting extracurricular activities for our children. It's just an easy thing for people to talk about and remove those extracurricular activities. The reason that the teacher federations like it is because it does exactly what it wants to do. It precisely focuses on kids. It removes a service that kids depend on, and teachers still make their full wage and salary. So there's no disincentive from removal of extracurricular activities. That puts in jeopardy football and sports teams. It puts in jeopardy choir practices or music programs. It puts in jeopardy communication with parents before and after school. It puts in jeopardy the tutoring that a lot of teachers engage in helping their kids try to succeed and achieve better in our schools. I think we have to do a better job protecting those activities for kids. I proposed an amendment to the legislation. The only amendment that I proposed was to try and get these extracurricular activities protected. The net result of that was the Liberals and the NDP didn't like the amendments that we were proposing. They voted against them, and I think that's just unfortunate that we're going to face a very, I think, difficult round of negotiations, no matter who's in government. And the prospects of losing extracurricular activities in the specter of doing that is just going to increase.
I go to process. Immediately, I go to whenever we're in heavy-duty negotiations, it's about people. It's not about partisanship. It's not about polarization. As I'm sure you know, even within the teachers, we have certain teachers, supporting the Liberal Party. Other groups are supporting NDP. People are going their own way. They are very, very concerned about Tim Hudak's agenda, incredibly concerned, and so they want to make sure we stop his agenda. So that's number one. We have that as commonality. I recognize when the Wynne government, when Kathleen Wynne took over, she had a huge job to deal with in terms of teachers and negotiations. My response is I firmly believe in appropriate and fair and due process around collective agreements. I do not believe in opening up collective agreements that are already set unless there is some kind of across-the-board consent, because that's very, very disrespectful and opens us up to a lot of problems and a lot of disrespect. So my bottom line is fair and appropriate process. Nobody wants strikes. We all want our children to be able to go to school in a healthy and good environment.
There's not just teachers, but various labor groups are going to do what they're going to do, and sometimes they might use legal tactics, and sometimes it might be not so legal, sometimes it might be questionable, but they will do what they want to do, and well, boy, there's so much more I could say. I'm not out to pick on any specific labor group, but we need to think, how we're going to deal with all these different groups. I don't have all the answers, so, but I can't ensure that there's no labor disruptions. I think in the area of education, I think we definitely need to have some competition. Libertarians would ensure that parents could send their children to a school of their choice. We don't think any one group of parents is better than the others. So we, as in everything, we want to see competition, and we think that will help maybe with some of these problems we have.
And actually, we've met with the stakeholders, and we certainly realize that the under Premier Wynne, who was a former school trustee, did hold the Ministry of Education file for a few years, she is very well placed to be able to bring peace to the bargaining table. We have passed recently Bill 122 in order to look at ways of ensuring that not just the teachers are bargaining, but we're actually adding the government at the seat as well as the bargaining units. We expect this round will go much better than the last round. We realize that that did not go well, everybody agrees, but the relationships have been rebuilding to the point where there's confidence amongst the stakeholders. And from what I've heard at the door, because I do run into teachers, I've got lots of teachers that are friends. I've had kids in school for many years. I've got, my youngest is in grade 5, my oldest is 34, and so I've maintained a lot of relationships with teachers, and they as a group seem to be much happier this time around, with more confidence that we'll be able to settle without any labor disruption to our students.